it all comes through the Twin Cities, you know? I mean, it does. That's it. That's all I've got. So there's no other, there's nothing else for me to grab hold of.
Lost and Found in Cleveland is a new Christmas comedy coming out soon. It features a star-studded ensemble cast, including Martin Sheen and Loretta Devine, and of course, Santino Fontana. The award-winning actor is known for his Broadway roles in shows like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, but he is also a former Minnesotan. More on that in a moment. But Santino Fontana, welcome to NPR News.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Lost and Found in Cleveland. It's a comedy, takes place during Christmas time. Your character specifically, you play a character named Gary.
Yes.
Who is gifted a collection of racist memorabilia, I think is maybe the best way to describe it.
I think, yes, memorabilia with a problematic memorabilia. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's
Yes.
I think that's a good way to describe it.
What typically happens is we'll ask you a few questions about your collection.
It's not my collection.
And of course, it's been gifted to you by a dead relative in the film.
Exactly.
So,
who may have been racist.
Exactly.
We don't know. She's dead, so she can't speak for herself. But she does have a lot of tchotchkes that one could argue are definitely born out of racism.
So I'm curious, what goes into embodying a character like that, especially in a comedic film like this?
Yeah, well, the great thing is a lot of that's in the script. I mean, Marissa and Keith, who wrote it as well as directed it, they did a lot of that work. I mean, what's also fascinating is they created this character who's gifted all of this memorabilia that has a very complicated past and one could say deeply uncomfortable to admit you have it. But they have also written the character to be a professor in like racial studies in America, which makes it really problematic once he realizes really what it is that he has in his basement and or in his attic, wherever it is, and what to do. How do you he doesn't want to get blamed for something that isn't actually his, and yet what do you do with it? How do you move forward, given the history that you've been dealt?
They are going to take these pieces that they in their various lives and take them to a antiques appraisal show that you might see on PBS or something. Mm-hmm. And that is a big moment for your character. I don't want to give too much away, but a big moment for your character is having to have that, that grapple with that reality on screen.
Going to be outed for what he owns or what is in his possession.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. What was it like filming the entire project? What was it like working on it?
Sure. I want to say we had just kind of gotten past the big meaty part of the pandemic, and so things were quiet, and the world was very slowed down. And I got this call and this email and the script and that cast. And, we all went out to Cleveland for a couple of weeks, I want to say, in total. And it was super fun. I got to hang out with Jeff Hiller in the hotel, and June Squibb was at the hotel with us, and and Dot Marie Jones, getting to hang out with everybody and breathe life into this fun script for something that isn't really made in... These kinds of movies aren't made that much anymore. There are no superheroes involved. There is no magic. There is no AI. There is no CGI. It's just actors and a story. So I'd never spent time in Cleveland, but I had a great time out there shooting it in the middle of the winter. And got, like you mentioned, there's a big climactic scene for my character. All the characters end up going to this Antiques Roadshow style thing. Convention, I guess you'd call it. But I got to have a great scene with Loretta Devine, who's also a Broadway person. And, she's the person I have to face when I'm admitting what I own and trying to learn about it. So super fun, super fun. And I think a really great way to tackle a complicated issue that we are dealing with today. What do we change? How do we reconcile the past that we didn't create, but we've been living with?
You mentioned going to Cleveland, Midwest, very cold, something that you actually have a history with, as we mentioned.
Oh, yeah, you betcha.
You're a former Minnesotan. You attended the University of Minnesota and graduated from the BFA in acting program. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious about how that came to be, because if I remember correctly, you were not intent initially on being an actor. It was kind of a late high school sort of thing for you? Or
I mean, no, I'd never met an actor. So the idea in my home, I'm from a small town in Washington State. I was from a small town in California. We moved to Washington State. There was no one making their living in the arts. So shy of like a piano teacher, which I had and which were fantastic. But there was no one making a professional like performing career as their life. And I met Ken Washington, who was the head of that program at the Guthrie and the University of Minnesota. And Joe Dowling was the head of the Guthrie at the time. And I was in the very first class at the U on the West Bank, along with Aya Cash was in my cast, great actress also, a bunch of really talented people. But that was 2000 to 2004. And then I stayed on as a company member until 2006. And I was in the last show at the old Guthrie. Before they tore it down.
That was you played the lead character Hamlet in the kind of, it's funny, the Guthrie always brings back Hamlet for big moments, right? It was the first production, one of the first two productions that opened at the Guthrie, and then it has come back for the 60th, and of course when they closed the original Guthrie.
That was me.
That was you.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, that era of, early to mid 2000s, you are you're in college, and then only 2 years after graduating from the BFA program, you're playing the lead in Hamlet at the Guthrie, the kind of the ringing down the curtain of that place. I mean, what was that experience like? All of those, that build up to that moment of like, I get to embody this iconic character in this iconic space for the last time.
It was an amazing opportunity and experience, and I don't take it lightly that Joe cast me, and feel really lucky for having that experience. And the part and that group of actors, and at that point in my life, right before I then moved to New York, it's surreal. I mean, it is. It's been surreal, and Minneapolis has always been kind of a home in that sense because of all of that experience. And so much of that is gone or changed. That old building is gone. I've been at the new theater. I've performed in like some concert-y stuff there. And it does feel like I'm in the old building. And then I walk out of it and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not there. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned I am coming back on November 8th to perform at the Capri Theater in Minneapolis.
Right now.
Maya Garcia, who used to work at the Guthrie, she's taking over there, and she heard I will be in town first week of November, and so she said, let's do a concert. I was like, absolutely, why not? So it still feels kind of like a home to me. Yeah.
I'm curious, like you mentioned, it's that you were part of that first graduating cohort of that program. And, you performed in a number of productions, and with, it's leading up to the lead in Hamlet. I'm just curious how that all prepared you for this career that you've gone on to have, right? That you've gone on to win a Tony Award, be on television, be in films, work with such incredible minds and be considered one yourself. I'm curious, what about all of that like really prepared you to go off and have that career?
Well, listen, it's the only formal training I've ever had in my life. So Scott Freeman, Ken Washington, Virginia Ness Ray, Lucinda Holshoe, Kenny Mitchell, Elisa Carlson, Joe Dowling, Marcella Lorca. Those are the teachers that I had, that everything I know that I feel like I can grab hold of as a technique, as both an actor, but also as an informed, educated artist in figuring out the best way to tell a story and play a person in a different medium, in all different mediums. That all comes back to here, I mean, whether it's this movie you're talking about, or I do audiobooks, which is like, talk about Tyne Turner, who's my speech teacher, all of the dialects and all of the text work we did, and Shakespeare, or an animated film, or like Frozen, or Broadway stuff, doing 8 shows a week, singing. Barbara Carrig was my voice teacher who taught at the Minnesota Opera. It all comes through the Twin Cities, I mean, it does. That's it. That's all I've got. So there's no other, there's nothing else for me to grab hold of. Yeah. That's all of the training. And also I will say, seeing all the great plays that I saw at the Guthrie, I saw Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with Mercedes Ruehl and Patrick Stewart and Carrie Preston of current Elsbeth fame and Bill McCallum. I was an usher at the Guthrie. So I saw that show probably 15 times. I saw Twelfth Night that Joe directed with Daniel Sunjata and Opal Aladdin and Richard Oglevsky. I saw that maybe 12 times. I saw Antony and Cleopatra. I saw Hedda Gabler. I saw all of those plays that I saw. I can relive them now. I mean, I remember watching, Hume Cronin came and gave a speech on the big stage before they tore it down, and he did a speech from Richard III, and I still remember it. Sally Wingert and Stephen Yoakum and Stephen Polinsky and Isabel Monk, and I'm going to forget. I mean, there's so many. Anyway,
Many who are still here performing.
Yeah. I mean, I still remember things that they did. I remember the Simon Russell Beale came and toured his production of Hamlet when I was a freshman, I think, in college. I remember his line. I stole one of his line readings. With the line about the funeral. Oh gosh, my memory. The funeral baked meats freshly furnished the wedding tables.
Sure.
Thrift. Like I remember how he said it. Yeah. It is overwhelming when I think about that. Like you put all that pressure on this one place and this and all of those things that I learned here. But it's why I always will have a soft spot for it in my heart. Yeah.
Do you find that now you've gone on to do, audiobooks, movies, television, voice work, that the foundation in theater was important for that? Do you think, I often think about actors who start in film versus starting in theater, and I'm just curious your perspective on, for you, how it was starting out in theater.
Listen, there is no version, for my money, it's so much easier to come from theater where you are the editor, you are in control of the 2-hour, maybe 3-hour performance, and you have to land that plane every night, and it's just you and the audience, and you can't lie to them because they'll see it. The difference between that and doing, a 10-second, 30-second, minute-long scene on camera, or even a 10-minute scene on camera, is night and day. The responsibilities for the actor in theater is just so much greater and so much more fun. I mean, I love doing film and television. I was on the Ryan Murphy show last year, which was a great talk about using theater training. There's huge swaths of text written by Ryan Murphy and John Robbie Bates. And it called on everything I knew because I was playing a doctor and had all these things that, of course, I don't know what they mean, but I had to go Google, what does that mean? And how do I say that in a way that find doctors online of how are they saying it? Yeah, of course. I mean, I think the traditions, and also Minneapolis is such a theater town. At least it was when I was here. I think there's no better training for an actor than the theater. No matter what they want to do, no matter what type of story they want to tell, in what medium, what kind of character. Yes, absolutely.
I'm curious what advice you would have for young artists, young actors who, see what you've accomplished and say, I want to get there. I want to, be on Broadway. I want to be in films with people like Loretta Devine. I want to be, the voice of a Disney villain. What would your advice be for them?
I mean, it's hard, and it's going to sound trite, but you've got to listen to your soul as your North Star of what feeds you in the doing of it. So that doesn't mean where you end up. Doesn't matter. It's not about who you're going to end up doing it with, how much you're going to get paid to do it, what award you're going to potentially get or not. It's about, if I'm working on a scene or a song or a character, the doing of working on it is what fuels me and makes me feel like I'm at home and I'm comfortable and safe and excited and scared, like all of those things. So no matter what you want to do with your life, whether it's you think you want to act, and that may change, you have to listen to what's feeding you and just keep going after that, I think. I mean, I hesitated when you first asked because, look around. This is a strange time. I think, in history.
Yeah.
But also especially for the arts, for show business. Television is a different thing than it's ever been. More people are watching YouTube than HBO. More people are on TikTok than checking out Netflix. This is a new time. And that said, as scary as it can be when it looks like institutions are changing or morphing or failing or disappearing, what will always be there is the need for humanity to see itself and to be challenged and stretched in stories. And there will always need to be an actor to do that, and a writer, So actor, author, audience, that will never go away. It will morph, it will change. That's what we're dealing with right now. So what I would tell students today, and I do tell them, is like, when I was a kid, I didn't have a movie camera on my phone. They do. Go, make what you want to make. Tell the stories you want to tell, and you can get them out to an audience like that. I didn't have that. We had to be asked. You had to be invited. Those guardrails have changed. So
I'm curious, though, if you have anything else you want to mention about Lost and Found in Cleveland, about this film as it gets its wide release.
Yeah, I think, listen, Marissa and Keith really are perfect examples, speaking of talking to students, perfect examples of people who had this passion to write and direct this movie. They got this amazing cast, and they got a nationwide release in movie theaters. That does not happen. There are major movies that go straight to streaming. So the fact that they got that is incredible, and it's a testament to their hard work. I think it comes out, I want to say either November 6th or 7th. 7th, November 7th, nationwide. Go check it out and support independent film. I'm happy to be a part of it, and I'm excited for people to see it.
Great. Well, Santino Fontana, thank you so much for speaking with me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.